You're listening to Catalyst for Change, and my name is Jessica Huckabee, your host. I started this podcast to learn what makes people resilient after challenging events and how they've used those series of events as a catalyst for change in their life. You'll hear stories of resiliency and strength, so get ready, sit back, and be prepared to be inspired. Today, my guests are Alexis and Justin Black. They're proud foster care alumni, as well as recent graduates, authors, and business owners. Together, they've created Rose Empowerment Group, a company structured to close the information gap for young adults, as well as the company The Scholarship Expert, where they support students to graduate debt-free while obtaining the skills needed to be successful. Now they are releasing Redefining Normal, how two foster kids beat the odds and discovered healing, happiness, and love, to share their story of how they've had to redefine what love and healthy relationships look like. Well, thank you both for coming on my show today, Catalyst for Change, Stories of Resiliency. I'm really excited to talk to you about your story, about going through the foster care system and just using it as a catalyst for change in your life and making you these wonderful entrepreneur change makers. Can you tell me a little bit more about your story?
Yeah, of course. So I started off in the foster care system at 9 years old, and mainly because my family dealt with a lot of substance abuse issues, and going from those situations and living with my parents and a lot of impoverished communities, drug-induced communities. We transitioned from there. I was able to live with a few of my family members initially in the foster care system, my oldest brother, and then transitioning from there to living with my aunt. And then it was a moment in time where I was kind of going home to home, and I lived with my brother's best friend parents, and then from there, going into a group home. So there was times where I dealt with going home to home, and I had to overcome the idea that I didn't have a permanent home, and not sure if I would be in a home for a week, a couple months, or even a few days after seeing now have to leave eventually and not feeling secure and safe. And there's so many ideas of not feeling home, not having family, and dealing with that sense of identity and security throughout my entire life until I was able to get on my own in that group home and have mentors around me who supported me and got me to a point where I was more secure with my identity and who I am. And examples of Black men who are successful around me and doing great things. And that was when I was able to kind of believe in myself and have an expectation I would go to college and graduate college and do amazing things. So going to college and then traveling abroad and also meeting a person who would change my life, and Alexis, who is now my wife, and literally changed my life and inspired me to do great things, travel abroad and graduate with above and beyond the expectations and achievements that I thought I could do. So.
Wonderful. So wow, you've been through a lot and you were able to find a place where you feel at home. Can you tell me a little, and I want to get into Alexis's story after this as well, but can you tell me what home means to you now?
So as of right now, I'm still kind of figuring out home. Like as of right now, I think that being with Alexis, being welcomed by her family is always amazing and always has been amazing. Just as far as her now adoptive parents welcoming me, just like I'm another family member. As right now, since the quarantine has been going on, we've been staying with her family. And as we transition into getting our own housing and establishing ourselves eventually. But I think her family has been pretty welcoming of me and making me feel at home. And it gets to a point where, it's just, they are family now. And with us being married, it feels like they've always been family. And we're just trying to eventually, make our transition into being more independent, I would say. And we've had such a great support system with her family and mentors and helping us get to where we are today. But we're just thankful that, we're together, and ultimately Alexis is my home. And, I just super appreciative of her and who she is.
Yeah, so you found the person that feels like home to you. It
Mm-hmm,
sounds
exactly.
like. Oh, that's wonderful. And then her family has been just so welcoming, it sounds like. So she was really lucky to, I mean, well, blessed, I guess is the word, to find that adopted family, to have that all work out for her, and that you were able to find each other. I want to get more into how you met. But first of all, I want to touch on something you said. You were able to, through your foster care experience and, living in different homes, you finally met some people in your life that were a good role model, an example of a successful Black man. Can you tell me about that and how it improved your life?
Yeah, because my foundation was so unstable of my family situation, my parents' situation, and knowing my parents and being around my parents, but not feeling the love of my parents, of them not exactly playing that role of parents in my life, it left a hole in my heart and a lot of insecurities that I had to deal with because of that. And the family structure and culture of our family wasn't as stable. It didn't lay as good of a foundation. So it kept me doubting myself, who I was, what I could do in life, and didn't know if I wanted to go to college, but didn't know if I had the ability to or the strength to. I always wanted to do great things, but I didn't know if I had the capability to. Always questioning myself or what I could or couldn't do. And after I left my brother's best friend parents home after living there for a couple months, I was kicked out of their home and almost into a juvenile detention center because a lot of teenage foster youth, if you don't have a home to go to, they send you to detention centers where you don't exactly do anything wrong, but it's just nowhere for you to go. So there was a situation where I almost landed in. So from there, my social worker came to me and told me, "Hey, there's a home for you right outside of Detroit, where I'm from, and
Yeah.
right outside of the city, and we can get you in there." And it was a situation where it was four boys in the home, or three at the time, and it was the capacity of four, and they had one more spot available, and there were house parents, and the structure of the house is where a church kind of just pours into this home with mentors, a bunch of people, tutors. If you are struggling in a certain class, they'll find you a math tutor, a Spanish tutor, and just try to give and help you with anything that you can. People from the church was able to help me get my driver's license and so many other great things, and tutors and amazing people and examples of men who look like me and were doing successful things. And they had expectations of me that were way greater than I thought of myself. And it got to a point where I wanted to work hard for them and do great things for them. And when I pulled up my grade point average to go to college and getting accepted into college, I was doing it for them because I didn't want to disappoint them because they believed in me so much. And that community around me just helped me out so much. I can't explain how much that community of people believing in me, speaking life into me, really helped me get to another level and really took me to the next level in life and building that confidence.
Wow, that's amazing. So you were blessed to be accepted into that home where there was one more spot left, and the church was really, really impactful. It sounds like they had a lot of mentors come in, and they had people that had expectations that rose you up to a level where you're like, you weren't so sure about yourself. You're kind of shaky and whether you thought you can do things or not. And they really believed in you. So that's wonderful. And how did you end up meeting Alexis? I really want to hear about your story, about how you met and how your love story took off.
Yeah. So coming into college, I was still a young guy, and she was actually a junior, and she'll explain more of her side.
Yeah.
But this is actually how we kind of start off our book. She was a junior in college, and I was an incoming freshman. And we both were accepted at Western Michigan University into a scholarship program called the Seed Scholars Program. And this is the program for foster youth in higher education. So I got into this program, and it's amazing structure. Again, where they surround you with a community of people who are extremely helpful, campus coaches who will navigate you through college and help you transition into adulthood, and just amazing people in general, people who want to help you graduate, help you budget, and just become an adult
Yeah.
overall, help you adjust to college life. So it was a summer early set week where it was a week over the summer where your cohort of people who are entering into the program, you kind of get used to college, you get used to Western Michigan. You walk around campus and see where your classes are. You get familiar with your campus coach and your cohort and everything. And on the first day, I have this junior sit next to me during summer early transition week, and on the first day during orientation, and she sit next to me. And being a young guy coming into college, I'm still just weighing out my options, I would say, and trying to just talk to a bunch of women. And comes to sit next to me, but I'm way younger and I'm somewhat intimidated, to be honest. And
Yeah.
she is looking amazing, and I just tried to make small talk. I compliment her tattoos, and we just make small talk. But the conversation we had kind of stuck with me. Her energy kind of stuck with me from there. And even
Yeah.
though I tried to go on and talk to other girls that week, something kept drawing me back to Alexis, and we kept talking and we kept talking, and just through each conversation throughout the week, we got a little bit deeper until we got to a point at the end of the week where we just kind of opened up to one another and kind of told a bit about our truth and what we've experienced through our lives in foster care and what landed us in foster care. And from there, it kind of sparked a strong foundation and a friendship where we kind of talked all summer. Like for the rest of the summer, we talked in text almost every single day. And by the beginning of the school year, we somewhat formed a relationship, and it just kind of grew from there. And that's how we met.
Wow, that's an amazing love story. So you guys came from a similar place. You're both raised in foster care and going through that system. And then you found this wonderful scholarship program for higher education, and you met in that program. So you didn't meet in foster care through that experience, but afterwards when you were out of that foster care system. Can you tell me a little bit more about your story in foster care?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Alexis Black, and I actually entered foster care at 13, but I think it's important to start a bit before that.
Yeah.
So my mom actually died. My biological mom actually died when I was 6. She died from suicide. And then I didn't find out until actually about a year or so ago that that's actually how her mom died also. So it runs in my family, and for 2 generations. And after she died, I moved in with my biological father at around 6. And that's actually when the abuse started with him, where it was more of emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. And that lasted for about 8 years until I was forced to say something at about 13. And at that point, I was taken from his home and put into my aunt and uncle's house. But that actually wasn't even a good placement either, because it was also mentally and kind of spiritually abusive. And so I had to really try to find an outlet. And unfortunately, that was through an abusive relationship that I started in that summer, when I actually left from my biological father's house. I entered in a relationship at 13, and that lasted for 8 years. Also, apparently 8 is a common number, just thinking about it. I was in that relationship for about 8 years, and it wasn't until my junior year of high school where my aunt actually packed up all my stuff and threw it in the driveway and told me to get out. And I wasn't home when she did that. I saw that when I came home. And that's when I was placed into my foster parents' house, where that was actually the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I met my foster parents, now adoptive parents, and they're the greatest people on the planet. I absolutely love them. And I asked them to adopt me when I was 26. And so that was in December. So it just got adopted. And then we actually just got married in August.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
So how did you end up meeting your adoptive parents? Was that, tell me that.
When I was kicked out of my aunt's house, I went and stayed with my godmother for about a week or two during that transition period, because it was a safe place to stay. And I love my godparents. And my foster care worker, she really advocated for me and said, I have the perfect family for you, but I need you to be patient, because they just got done with a placement right before you, and they need like a week break before they take another teenager, because they really only took teenage girls, because a lot of people don't want teenage girls. And so they felt called to do that. And so my foster care worker called me and said, I have a perfect placement, and do you want to come meet them? So I had a placement meeting, and I met her, and she asked me, do you want to come to my house for the night, or do you want to come for the weekend, just to see if it's the right fit? And came for the weekend and decided to stay. So.
Oh, that's neat. So it just ended up working out. And it sounds like when you're a teenager, they give you some kind of choice on where you're placed. Is that true?
Somewhat. And I think that my situation was unique because I had a foster care worker who really advocated for me. I
Mm.
don't think that's common really at all, because a lot of times it's just who's available, what's an available home, because there's
Yeah.
over 400,000 foster youth in care right now, and there's maybe 100,000 homes. And so siblings are being split up in state, out of state, different counties. It's definitely my story is not, or my story is unique because of that situation where I was placed with somebody that was advocated for, versus here's just the home that may be willing to take you. Because as Justin said,
Yeah.
if there aren't homes available, then you could end up in juvie.
Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. I've heard of that from somebody else where you're sent to a detention center. If you
Yeah.
if you don't have a place to go, they send you to basically a jail, like a
Yeah.
lockdown facility.
And
That's
that's
rough.
actually how like the foster care to prison pipeline is
Yeah.
really started. And I think it's 1 in 4, or it's actually more than that. It's less than, or it's more than 1 in 4 men that are in the prison system actually were in foster care. It's
Wow.
a huge amount.
Yeah, no, I've heard that statistic too. And so now is foster care, since you both went through the foster care system, are you thinking that someday when you get settled and get to where you want to be, would you end up fostering children?
Yes, absolutely. We already came into agreement with that kind of early on in our relationship, that we absolutely were going to foster and adopt, and we don't want that to be seen as a second option or as a plan B. Most people only foster or adopt when they can't have their own children. So
Yeah.
it's seen like a plan B option, whereas for us, that's more of our plan A.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And there's such a big need for it. And so that's really good. You hear these things like most people only want babies or little kids, and just more people need to learn more about the foster care system and what it means to foster. Is there a place where you recommend people to go if they want to learn more about foster or foster to adopt?
I think it's really going to depend on where you're located for your state. And if you even just search foster care or adoption resources and then your state, the
Mhm.
top resources should show up right there. And like for Michigan, on the michigan.gov website, they do a great job with compiling a lot of that information and trying to create different events and things to help overcome the different stigmas and stereotypes that come with having foster youth, and what does it mean to be in foster care and things like that. And I think there's a lot of work that the general population can do to educate themselves on the process, as well as just how to overcome those stigmas and love youth through that,
Yeah.
as well as to not just try to foster and adopt babies.
Yeah, exactly. And with older kids, and if they have some, trauma that's happened to them, is there resources for those foster parents? Can you
Yes, there is
tell?
actually
Yeah.
a lot of support groups, even through social media, but then through like the counties and states. There are a lot of resources and support groups for foster parents, because I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy. I watch my now adoptive mom with my adoptive sister, and it is difficult. And you're not meant to be the hero in the situation. You're meant to come in and love these kids,
Yeah.
and know that it's going to be hard and it's going to be a struggle, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies. So just knowing that and going in with good intentions, but also with intentionality around just pushing through it and not kicking the kids out when it becomes difficult.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll also advise, just like in my situation, like Alexis said, there are no superheroes in this situation and in foster care. So every single foster parent needs a community around them, supporting them and allowing them to, just take a breath and take a deep breath and help them in there when they need to. Like foster youth don't just need a superhero or foster parent to come in and swoop them out of the system, but a community of people contributing to them and helping them out with their success overall. So
Yeah.
there can be a foster parent there if you need, and then there's a mentor there if you need, then there's a counselor, then there's a tutor, then there's maybe an athletics coach there to
Yeah.
help. And then just preachers or other people within maybe the church or whatever community you've identified with to help you and support you. It's so easy to give up and just walk away when it's just you and maybe your spouse or just you and your partner. but if it's a community of people there to help you, and even if you need maybe a couple hour break, or you need a breather, you need someone to just help you and talk to you about what's going on, how to help this youth, how to contribute to their life. You have those people around you who are familiar with the youth that is in your home. And like I said, it's just when you're doing it on your own and you think that you have what it takes to just do it by yourself, it's easy to give up. It's easy to just quit. But when you have people around you who are supporting you, and an entire group of people or community who are contributing to your success and their success, then it's never easy, but it'll be easier, and somewhat of you won't feel as alone and isolated in the situation.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I've heard that they don't have to be a foster parent and take children in. They could be that mentor. They could be that counselor. They could be there's a lot of other things that you can do to help foster care youth. Maybe that foster parent needs a break, so you can offer to watch the kids so they can get out of town, or they can have a movie night or time alone. So there's so many things you can do for foster kids, even if you're not ready to take that big step of fostering people in your home. So yeah, that's a really good point. So tell me more about what you're doing now. Let's switch gears, and I want to learn about what you're both doing now. You're both change makers. You're both keynote speakers. You've started some businesses. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so our main thing right now, one of the things that's been on our hearts all year, even last year, is this Redefining Normal book. And Redefining Normal, how two foster kids beat the odds and discover healing, happiness, and love, where we talk about how we were able to overcome, but not only that, but some of our experiences throughout our past. And like I said, the first chapter talks about how we met, and then going into the situation where we kind of become vulnerable and open up a little bit about ourselves and our past experience. And the book is structured where we talk about identity, what shaped our identity, what shaped our definition of love and happiness. And these are things that the reader or the audience can ask themselves and swap out our lives and put in their lives and ask themselves these questions. And we go take turns on narratives of, she goes on what her identity, what shaped her identity. And then we go to my narrative of what shaped my identity, and then what shaped my definition of love and what shaped her definition of love. And what's also unique about this book is that within the book, there are statistics before each chapter where the statistics that we overcame of 1 in 3 Black men going to jail or prison at some time in our life, or the number of foster care youth within the system, or only 3% of foster youth graduate from college. And with both of us being college graduates, those are just amazing things that we were able to overcome, and the neighborhoods that we came from, and we were able to overcome that and maybe have a better influence over our community and neighborhood now. And just starting where we came from in our family situation, our community situations, where we are now. So the book is a memoir about our lives, but halfway through the book, we start to talk more about, it becomes more instructional on how we were able to overcome, the methods and strategies that we took to overcome, how we were able to redefine our normal, redefine our definition of love, how we communicate with our partner, how we treat ourselves, and how we move forward as individuals with traumatizing past, and how to cope with those things, not try to forget about it or push it to the side, but how do you figure out a life of understanding of, all right, I've been through these things, but now they don't define me and who I am. And reshaping your identity based on what will help you and what's prosperous for you, and not what your family and community has told you should be or where you should be.
Yeah, no, that's really powerful. So it's a book that is actually a tool to help mentor other people, whether you come from the foster care system growing up, or whether you just went through a somewhat normal childhood with some trauma involved in that. So it sounds like the book is a really good tool to help a lot of different people, no matter what background they're from. And you've been doing keynote speaking, and you've started a different business from what I've seen on your website. Can you tell me a little bit more about those two things?
Yes. So we are actually owners and founders of 3 different companies. The Redefining Normal book has become one of our businesses. Also one that Alexis and I have started. and it's called the Rose Empowerment Group. And Rose stands for Rising Over Societal Expectations. And the components of the business is focuses on three main areas. First is myself and focusing on individual character development, improving individuals before we focus on community or other people around you. How can we improve your life and your success and your efficiency and just your mental, everything as it pertains to the individual? How can we improve you?
Yeah.
Secondly is my community. How can we improve our communities as far as romantic, friendship, and family relationships? How can we improve the economic status of our communities and help neighborhoods get on one page and kind of build that foundation of principles and ideas so they can be on the same page and use their financial resources and their knowledge and information to push the community forward and create prosperity. Lastly is my impact, where we talk about legacy building. We are focused on closing the information gap for marginalized people and communities who don't have the information to build prosperity within their community, who don't have the information of financial literacy, of other things on how to be successful. We focus on that. And then, for example, for maybe Black and Brown communities, when we talk about systematic racism, how can we create local businesses, programs, or initiatives that are structured within communities that combat systematic racism and leaves a legacy that will last beyond your lifetime? And those are the three components: myself, my community, and my impact. And we try to focus in on those three and see how we can help others.
Wonderful. So self, community, and impact. Wonderful. Well, it was really nice speaking with both of you today. And I'm really excited to learn more about you through that book. And I'll have all the information in the show notes on your book, on your businesses, where people can find you on social media, where they can get in touch with you if they want you to speak at an event that they have coming up. Is there anything that you can think of that we may not have touched on that you want to make sure to address today?
I would say also our last business, which is the Scholarship Expert. And a Scholarship Expert is a scholarship coaching tool where we help students find and apply for scholarships, whether you're a junior, senior in high school, or a college undergraduate. We help you locate scholarships and walk you through the process of how to earn those scholarships. And that's something that is we've been working on for over a year now also. And it's something that Alexis started back in 2016 that we relaunched last year, and something we're passionate about as well, just trying to help students graduate debt free. When I'm blessed to be able to graduate debt free. Alexis graduated with tons and tons of scholarships. She is the scholarship expert. She helped me graduate not only debt free, but with 5 study abroad experiences and internships in Washington, D.C., and have the funding to do all those things. So she's a scholarship expert, and we want to help other students do the same. So.
Oh, that's wonderful, because that's so important, because school is so costly and it can really set you back if you're trying to, you're getting out of school in a down economy, like, or a recession. Having all that debt can be really burdensome. So being able to graduate college without any debt is really powerful.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you for taking the time to speak to us today. And I just wanted to leave one more thought, is to find a way to live intentionally each day, whether it's through your thoughts, your words, what you're listening to, the people you surround yourself with, because every single thing has an impact on you and your success. And so you need to be super intentional on that. And with that, it's to find a mentor and individuals that you can look up to and that you want to surround yourself with. They have skills that you want to learn. Maybe it's a personal or professional mentor that can help you stay accountable to your goals and your tasks. I always recommend that for individuals that want to push themselves to go towards larger goals and to push themselves. These are individuals that are in your corner and are going to hold you accountable.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And can you tell me something that you both do every day to start your day off right, or to end your day on a good note?
I make sure to get off my phone at a certain time, just because I don't want to have spiraling thoughts and things, especially with the news and all that going on. So it's a way to separate myself. But then also we're both Christians. And so we believe in prayer in the morning and at night. So that's one thing that we do. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the book Miracle Morning, But that is a phenomenal book about the way that you can start your morning and how it can just completely rejuvenate your day and skyrocket your success. So we've been trying to implement some of those principles, and it's been phenomenal.
Oh, wonderful. Miracle Morning Book. And I'll try to find the link to that so I can post that in the show notes as well. So thanks for those tips. Those are really good. Well, thank you for your time today. And I hope you both have a wonderful day. It was nice speaking with you, Alexis and Justin.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day.
You've been listening to Catalyst for Change, and my name is Jessica Huckabee, your host. Join us next week for another story of resiliency. And please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and feel free to leave me a comment or email me at catalystforchange20@gmail.com, or on Facebook, we have a page at Catalyst for Change Resiliency.